Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we have Lorna Sherland with us. Woo! We're going to talk about connection, strategic partnerships, and how there is currency within connection and how to cash in on that. Let's go. So, Lorna,
Yes.
you are the queen of connection. And
Yes,
I want to
girl.
know how you got that name. I just named it.
Well, I didn't just make it up myself. It's what people call me. So I'm like, I'll take it, right? It's how it's my way of being, right? It's not
Yeah.
something that I work on. It's who I am, right? That's just for me, connection is currency. I'm a real estate broker, as well as transformational coach, a business strategist, and the connection queen who connects female entrepreneurs to strategic partners and really vetted connections to skyrocket their business with leads and income, right? So for me, it started in real estate where I've been connecting buyers and sellers for over 23 years, right? And so I didn't even know, I didn't call myself that. I just knew, like, when I saw two entities or two people or two things that connected, my brain just went, these two people must meet each other. And every time I do it, it always works out. So here I am, being called the queen of connection around something I already do. So I love it. I love it. I
Exactly.
love it.
Well, you have a strategic play where you're growing your list, which everyone here, they want to grow their audience. And
Mhm.
so you know how to grow audience, but also connect people. Can you share a little bit more about that?
So let me go back to the beginning again because I want people to understand something. I've had clients who it took them a minute to understand this, and if you're not in the long game, this
Mhm.
is not going to work for you.
Right.
Connections, you can make immediate connections and you can make connections that last a lifetime. And when I say a lifetime, that doesn't mean that you have to be in somebody's space the whole time, but you're connected to them in a way that when they see something and they think of anyone, they're going to think of you. You become the person that they think of when something comes up. So when I came into this industry, this online space of coaching and mentoring, again, I'm a real estate broker. I'm still a real estate broker. I was in real estate for at the time about 17 years, 18 years, like I said,
Oh,
connecting buyers and sellers. When I came into this online space of transformation and coaching, I didn't know what I got myself into. And it took me a minute to connect the dots that the same way I was lead generating in real estate, it's the same way that I get to lead generate in coaching, except um, I had to transform my thinking about a lead into a person,
hmm.
right?
Yes.
So, eh, so when I did that, that caused me to say, these people are human beings. They're coming to my events because they want something. So I started out that way, and then I understood I was doing these events, connecting with speakers to go look for the speakers I thought would be a fit for the audience I was creating, right? So over the years, I've, gotten really good at locating speakers. I've gotten really good at seeing the problem that exists in the community that I want to serve and bringing the speakers in who can solve those problems for the community and create those connections. And in the midst of that, also creating connections with the between the speakers because that's the fastest way to cash, right?
Yeah.
You collaborating with another speaker. Like we're here now, we're collaborating with each other to share information, giving value to your community. And thank you for having me.
Mhm.
Come here to share this because I think it's an important piece of the puzzle as speakers and coaches are building that they're missing a part, this piece of it. They're missing the fact that you get to build your audience, you get to build the people, you get to bring the people into your space so that they experience you, and then you can go ahead, add value, and then make the offer that they're going to be able to take you up on, because that
Right.
offer at the end of the day, they're going to be vulnerable enough to share with you what the problem is,
Right.
you know? So the other piece, if I could just add this real quick, the other piece that had been a challenge as I've been building, and a lot of coaches coach it, but I don't think people hear it. So I hope whoever is here who gets to hear this from me, from my voice today, hears this. You may have a program, but it may not solve the problem that your people are looking for. So
Mm,
that's why you got to build the connection with your audience so that they can tell you what the problem is, and then you create the offer to solve the
wow.
problem.
Yeah, that's different than most people teach it. They teach you have your offer and then you sell it to your audience. You're saying cultivate your audience, figure out what they want, and then create an offer for them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's good.
And yeah, because I hear, I'm speaking from experience. I'm not just speaking from what coaches have been coaching me. I'm speaking from experience. Did it the other way.
Yeah, right.
I
And
did
just
it the
went
other way.
slow and
The,
long.
the little boat to China is over there, right?
Yes.
But when you create offers that solve the problem that the people say they have, like, a perfect example. This morning, I made an offer to a young lady. Actually, I started the offer on the weekend, and it's Sunday. People don't respond to their phones, but I still reached out to her. And this morning, because last night she didn't respond after my last message, this morning I said, "Hey, can we jump on a call?" We jump on the call. She just needed clarity around the offer, and that was it. Because the offer I made her is solving her problem,
Yeah,
right? It's so
that's
so
good.
that's why it's so important to know, hear what your audience is saying, and listen. Your listening is really key, and listening is a muscle. You get to build that muscle, right?
Yes. I'm listening to your awesome accent. And are you Jamaican?
Yes, I'm from
Okay.
Jamaica originally.
I
Yes,
love
yes,
it.
yes.
It's
Thank
so
you.
good.
Thank you.
Give me those
Yeah.
island vibes. So tell me a little bit about the strategic partners. So you have this play where you actually do these mini summits every month, which I
Mhm.
love because
Yeah.
summits, if you guys don't know what a summit is, you gather a bunch of speakers, everybody mails to their list, and they do a 1 day, 2 day, or maybe a 2 week event, a 5 day event. And
Mhm.
you have figured out this. Tell us what you do. You bring around 20 speakers and you have a 1 day event.
I actually don't bring that many, right? So mine is like you said, it's micro. It's a micro summit because, again, it's building the list with strategy, right? Because you can. Here's the thing. Remember, when you build a list, I want your audience to hear this. The list, there's still people. So when and again, I'm sharing with you because I'm telling you all the mistakes I made so that you don't make them, right?
Yep.
When you have a list of, let's say you had 20 people, because I did that. Yeah, I had a list of 21 speakers come on the summit, built a list of over 500 to 1,000 people. Then I had to call them, right? So for me, it's just more manageable to build a list incrementally. However, it's the same strategy. You can bring, I do 8 speakers for a 1 day. There are other people who do 10 to 12 speakers for a 1 day. There are other people who do 21 days and they interview and then mail it out on an email. I just don't like that strategy. I tried it, I did it. It's not my thing, right? I love the 1 day because, again, my strategy is connection. A 1 day for me creates that connection, that it creates an ambiance in the room, even on Zoom, that causes people to move forward, causes people to share their problems. Remember, I said before, they got to tell you what problem they have so you can create the offer to solve it, right? So for me, a 1 day, 8 to 10 speakers is more than enough because that usually takes me half an hour interviews. That takes me a good 5 hours, right?
Mm-hmm. And is it a
So
free event or is it paid?
it's for mine are free events. So it's a free offer, free event, right?
Mhm.
People come in, and on the back end of that, we make our offer.
And then now is your strategy your speakers are your ideal clients, or do you make offers to your speakers, or do you make offers to the audience, or both?
To both, to both, because especially on this last summit, what I realized, and it was so amazing, this last event was really, really super cool, because the speakers who came on needed the services of other speakers that were on. So it was super cool. So everybody needed everybody. And so that created connection and currency for everybody, right? Because
Mhm.
people are leaving the event and everybody was leaving making offers, right? And remember, the speakers who come on, they have the ability to make a free offer after their talk, after their interview, and that supports them with capturing the audience's information so that they can keep in touch with them on the back end of that as well. So it's a win-win-win
And then
conversation.
everybody, what are the requirements for those speakers? They all must mail one
Yes.
time, two times, three times, how many times, or?
Yep. Yep. I'm glad you asked that question. So glad you asked that question, because I'm using this last summit as an example to share with your audience. So my requirements for speakers, they must have an email list, active email list. Their email list should have, and I asked them for proof, they should have open rates of approximately 30%, right? And the email list size that I require is 3,500. Then they're also required to mail to their audience twice, minimum twice, before the event. They can do more. And again, the last summit, some of them did a little bit more than I requested, but the requirement is two. And then social media, post on social media, post on social media so that their audience that's not on their email list can also have an opportunity to come onto the summit. So I want people to hear that piece as well, right?
Yeah.
A lot of speakers, even big name speakers that I've had on my summit, have not how do I say performed. Let's use that word,
Mhm.
performed. And I want to say this, if I could, on your summit, on your platform, and it's this: as a speaker, when you are asking other people to mail to their audience, it's an opportunity that you're giving the audience to experience you,
Right.
right? And think about this. Myron always says this, by the way. You are your buyer. So how you buy is how your buyer is going to buy, right?
Yes.
And so if you as a speaker don't want to expose the summit to your audience, well, how you think you're going to get your buyer to
Mhm.
pay you? It's the same conversation,
Right.
guys. It's not a separate conversation. So I want to make sure that speakers understand that, because my experience over the years of building my audience is that some speakers, they'll say, well, I can't mail to my email list because I don't want to burn them out.
Right.
Take the case that there's so many people in the world, even if they're on your list, that can't hear you.
Right. Right.
Because, and we can go into a whole nother conversation around
Mhm.
personalities and listening. That's a whole nother workshop, right? But not everybody can hear you. So when the opportunity comes for somebody else to come in and serve that person, consider that if you're not allowing that, that's a disservice to your
Mhm.
audience.
Mhm.
Because if they're not hearing you and they're not taking action,
Right. They're stuck. They're in purgatory.
that one.
Yes.
So I'm on a mission to unlock that for people,
Yeah.
for speakers.
Abundance, generosity.
It's generosity. Here's the thing, and I said
Yes.
this the other day. I said it to my mom. I said, Mom, because she has the same mentality, right? Like, person you give to has to give back to you. Yes, the
Mm-hmm.
scripture says, give and it shall be given, pressed down, running over, shall men give unto your bosom. People forget that part.
Mm-hmm.
Men can only give into your bosom if you are, first of all, open,
Yes.
right?
Right.
So if you're like this,
Letting it in.
or like can't get in, right?
Yes.
So to share your audience with another speaker is actually serving.
Yes, it is. It's giving them more. So do you, I love what you're saying. That's the mindset. And I have people, when I've done summits, I've done many like you, and I will have them sign a contract. Do you have
Mhm.
them sign a contract? And if they don't do it,
Absolutely.
it's just kind of that bad energy.
Okay, so two things. I want to finish. I know I went off on a little tangent there just now because I wanted that generosity piece to come up because I think it's such a big deal, right? And I want your audience to really think about being generous in the space so that it expands you. It'll expand you. I
Mhm.
promise you, it'll expand you. So the requirements also for the speakers is they sign a contract, yes, and I really stepped into this event. If the speaker does not perform, they cannot be on the summit. I don't care if it's the last minute. I don't care if it's the day before. If because we track everything. So this is an important piece. We track everything, all the activity. So if I see that a speaker who signed an agreement, right? Speaker must sign the agreement or they cannot be on the summit,
Mhm.
right? Secondly, if they sign the agreement and they're not adhering to their commitment, which is to mail twice to their audience and social media, if there's no activity, they cannot be on the summit.
Yeah.
It's for me, it's out of integrity because I'm asking somebody I'm asking 10 people to mail. Everybody said yes, and then 9 mail, and then that one person comes on the show and they get all the information from the audience, right? And they did not contribute. That's not fair exchange. And there is
No.
such a thing in the world called the law of fair exchange. So
Hmm.
that doesn't work.
Yeah, I love that. So do you have required numbers or expectation? If they have a list of 3,500, what percentage do you expect to join the summit? The
At
mini?
least, well, they may not join the summit, but they may register
Mhm.
at least 10% of them because, and I shouldn't say 10%, 35. I'm saying 35. I'm not a good at math. At least 35 out of that, because if they don't have at least 35 out of that, that means their list is not active because even if they have so let's do numbers, right? Even if they have 3,500 on their list, and this is research I've been doing this for a minute, and this is what I found. Somebody who has 3,500 on their list will have 30% of those people really being active, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
30% of that is how much? If you do the math,
three,
that's
six,
what,
nine
like
hundred, like a
like a
thousand.
thousand, that's around it, 1,000 people, right? And 1,000 people on the list, at least 10% of that is going to be like, let me jump in,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
And then
So
and
about a
then one,
hundred.
yeah, yeah. And then 1/3 of that is gonna be really where you end up at. Really, really where you end up at. That's
Okay.
that's just the numbers. Like my numbers are smaller because I do like 1 day events. The numbers are smaller when you do a 1 day event. Minimum anywhere from 250 to 700, depending on if the odd like if you have a bigger email list size, you can build that bigger. But with my list requirements, you can build
Mhm.
250 to, I would say, 500 to 700 on a 1 day.
That's does that mean each person is bringing 250 to 700 people and you have 10 people?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
250
okay.
to 700 with 10 people. Again, if you do the numbers with, I remember I said 35,
Mhm.
I'm probably not doing the numbers right. 35 people minimum per person, right? So how much does that work
Yeah.
out to?
So, and this is good for all of you guys watching. You need to know these numbers because you could put a lot of work and
Yep.
I always tell my clients they want to do a summit, but then they're letting anyone in, but then their people don't even have a list, or they have
Right.
less than 1,000, and then they don't get the
Mhm.
numbers, and it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of
Okay,
work.
you got your
So
numbers.
yeah, so if I'm saying 10% of that, remember I said 35, let's say 10 people bring 35 people. That's 350, right?
Okay.
So that's why you need people with their list that's active. Because somebody, and here's the thing too, and again, it's the connection piece, right? You got to be really listening. When you ask the speakers questions, you got to listen to what they say, but kind of like listen under what they say. I don't know how to teach that
Mhm.
because they can say, oh, yeah, my list is 10,000, and then they tell you, I have 9,000 on LinkedIn, and I have $1,000 on my $1,000 on my email list.
Right. It's
That's
not the
not it.
same.
That's not
Right.
the requirement. You see that?
Yeah.
Or I have 25,000 on Instagram and 500 on my email list. That's not it either. You're not going
Mhm.
to get your numbers.
So where
Does
do
that
you
make
find,
sense?
yeah, for sure. So where do you find your people? Where do you vet your people to make sure they have the 3,500?
So a lot of my, especially now, again, after all these years, most of my speakers are referred. So at
Mhm.
least I know that there is some integrity in the space, right?
Yes.
And then, like I said, we changed our agreements for them to start putting in a picture of their email list size from their computer, as well as the open rates from their
Oh,
computer.
that's smart. Because at the end of the day, you're a businesswoman. You're not just here for fun. Okay, that's smart. I love, I've never seen anyone do that, but it makes a lot of sense. So tell me, okay, you're the queen of connection.
Yeah.
Um, how can we best connect? How can we really connect and build those connections and the right connections and the right strategic partners?
Okay, so here my goal, you gotta get on stages, number one. That's the first thing. You gotta get on stages. You get to join different groups who have your audience. You know, I was on a call last week with a friend of mine that I'm actually jumping into. We're in the same coaching program, and I'm jumping into her program. And she said something that was really, really cool. She said, stop looking for your right fit client and start looking for your right fit audience. The people who need you may not be in the space that you think. So I'm going to say, look for the space that has your audience, right?
Uh,
So if you are, let's say, a wellness coach, right? And you are only going into the wellness space to look for your audience, consider the fact that that space is crowded. So change your head. Like, where else do the people who need your wellness, where else are they playing? Where else are they
mhm.
sitting? And then go talk to those people who have those audiences to come into your summit, because they know what their clients need. They know what their audience need. They need wellness. They may be teaching business, but they need wellness, right?
Yes.
So if you're only going into wellness, then um you're going into the blue ocean, right?
Hmm.
And I'm gonna say maybe you just get to like go into a different ocean,
Right. Go swim in other waters,
in
warmer
a different water.
territories.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
with what for me, I just want you to give us some tips because I think some people they might be introverts, they're cynical, or maybe they're like me. I'm like my dog is a golden retriever. You guys can see her here. She's in my I'm like a golden retriever. I love everybody. I want to talk to everybody. And sometimes I get so excited about people that I just want to like make connections. And I'm not always super discerning because I believe who they are. And then it's like, oh, what did I do?
yeah,
Or they weren't all that in a bag of chips.
yeah,
So
yeah.
any tips on how to really discern and not jump in or not be too cynical?
So For what's coming up for me for that answer is really be intentional around the people you want. Because when you set that intention, that's the first piece that's going to guide you into questions that you ask the person you're connecting to. And again, it's all in the listening, right? You really got to become a good listener. I'm gonna quote Myron again. You got two ears for a reason.
Yeah. One mouth.
One mouth, two ears. So you got to listen to what people are saying. And based on that, it's really going to give you a lot of information. And in our world, in my transformation world, we call it focusing out. Focus out so you can listen. Like listen to what, again, and it's the same thing. If you are good at acquiring clients, it's no different than acquiring speakers for your events. It's no
Mhm.
different. You got to
True.
really listen to what their vision is, what their intention is, and see if it's aligned,
Mhm.
right?
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
again,
Intention
not,
and then listening for their intention
yep, yep.
and being strategic with what is it that you're wanting to do and how to build your audience. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
real quick, do you have a big team or do you do this on your own? In terms of setting up, it sounds like you give them graphics, you host the event. Where do you host the event? And
Okay.
what kind of team do you have and what kind of graphics and social media do you use to
So I
fill
I
it?
do have well, should I call it a team? Yeah, I have a team. My assistant does most of it though, because she is very versatile. She knows how to do graphics. She does the emails. When I say she does the emails, we give her content. She posts all of it. She does the graphics because she's really creative.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's how we've been doing it. So it's not a big team either. You don't need a big team. You can do this on your own if there's nothing else that you're doing. Again, I'm still in the real estate space, so I get to have a good amount of people to support me in putting the event together.
Mhm.
So yes, you need a team, but you don't need a big team. The one thing I'll say is hire to your weakness. If you're not good at graphics, do not,
No.
do not, one more time, do
Do
not
not.
put your time in graphics. You can go on Fiverr and get graphics done for $10. Do
Yeah.
not. It's a huge waste of your time. If you're not good at copy, do not spend your time on copy. Go find somebody on Fiverr. They'll
Yeah.
cost you $20. So here's a reason I'm giving you numbers attached to it, right? You are in business. You got to invest in your business. You may not need huge investments. I'm giving you shorter investments. If you're not good at funnels, do not spend your time on funnels. Hire somebody who has the expertise in funnels. This is why my team, when it comes to this, my team, I have somebody for funnels, I have somebody for emails, I have somebody for graphics,
Yeah.
right? I have my assistant, she does the website, right? So you got to have somebody who is an expert at each piece of it
Mhm.
if it's not your wheelhouse. If it's
Who,
your
not
wheelhouse,
how. Who, not
yeah,
how.
yes, girl,
Who, not
that one.
how.
Who not how?
Who, not
Who
how.
not, yeah.
I
Say it
love
again.
that. Who, not how. Exactly.
Yeah,
Because people will waste so much time.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So then and then you probably have an organizer emailing the people, emailing the
So
speakers, giving them all their data.
my assistant. So here's the thing. Once you have all the speakers and their information, right? They sign their document. Everything is electronic. There's no fax, no paper, no nothing. Everything is electronic. So once everything comes in, she does all the graphics, right? Once the graphics are done, she creates a folder. You could just create a folder in Google.
Yeah.
Create a folder in Google. That's what we call our promo center, and we give the speakers access to that so they have everything. Here's the other thing too. We're actually considering moving to what's called Event Raptor, and I can give your audience a link to that. I am an affiliate for them. I'm considering moving to Event Raptor because if you think what I just told you is easy, they make it super simple. to the point
Like
where
simple.
all you got to do is just get the speakers and that's it. They do everything else.
What's the investment for that?
That is $199 a month.
Woo!
So imagine not having to worry about all the other things that comes with a summit.
Yeah, it's a
I
lot.
know it's a lot.
I,
So imagine having a strategic partner. See, this is why I'm telling you about this.
Mhm.
Event Raptor is a strategic partner in your business who, yes, you pay them, but they're going to make you a ton of money on the back end because you're going to be
Right.
able to serve way more people, right? The
Yeah.
time that
For
you're taking
199,
for 199
199.
a month.
Okay, like I need that link pronto because there's a lot of loose
Mhm.
ends. I've done
Yeah,
10 of these summits myself over the
yeah,
years, and there's like
yeah.
you're chasing people, the whole chasing people. Did you mail? Did you mail? Did you mail? And then
So
it's like,
hear this in Event Raptor for I think for so 199 is basic, right? You just get a basic website, blah blah blah. For 499, you get go high level,
okay,
right? Better. So I'm taking 400 because I just like my things get to be pretty,
yeah,
right?
you want pretty.
And here's the thing. In that system will actually give access to the speakers as well. So
Oh, that's
let's
good.
say you were coming on to the summit, and when you and I talked, first time, what your freebie is going to be, you sent your freebie on the agreement, and then you decided to change your freebie. You can actually go in there and change your freebie yourself.
Oh, that's good.
And all the things that you were talking about in the follow-up, the reminder to the speakers and all of that, setup is all there.
And then the
So
emails
once
to the list reminding them to come to the event, and then the follow up and all that.
all of that.
It's a lot.
And
So you do
when you
okay.
set it up one time, the only time you can set up for the whole year
Oh, that's
unless you're going
great.
to change the summit.
So do you do the same? I've got so many questions. Can I ask you a few more?
You said 20 minutes, but go ahead.
I know, right?
Mhm.
Okay. How many weeks do you promote your events for prior to the
Okay.
summit?
Okay. I'm really bad at this part. This is the part I'm bad at, y'all.
Mhm.
Okay, so for the past 2 years, up until last year, I was setting up and mailing 2 weeks before. And I'm gonna go back to that and I'll tell you why. But I'll tell you why I changed was because I found that my numbers were actually better with a 7-day sprint than with a 2-week opener. So I'm changing that strategy this month, or the next time I do it. I'm gonna go back to 2 weeks, but not a sprint, right? I'm gonna introduce it 2 weeks out, and then I'm gonna do the sprint 7-day sprint. Because the
Right.
7-day sprint, it just brings in way more people in the 7 days than
Mhm.
2 weeks. That's what I found. I don't know about anybody else. I've spoken to other people. They have also experienced the same thing. But I know that a lot of people and most of the coaches who teach this, they recommend 2 weeks. I
Okay.
just find for 2 years that 2 weeks didn't work.
Okay.
Um,
That's
and,
good.
and
And then do you do it on Zoom or do you do it in a different platform, like hosting
yes,
the event?
yeah, I hosted on Zoom.
So easy.
StreamYard, I don't do because again, and you can. I just found out about StreamYard like 3 months ago, and I just have not implemented it in my business.
Okay.
When I go on other people's platforms, I jump in on there, but I just have not implemented it. I use Zoom for everything.
So easy. All right, Lorna, I know you have a free gift to share with us.
Yes, yes, yes,
So talk to
yes.
us. Talk to
I
us.
so I wrote an ebook called The Disconnect of Connection. And I really wrote this book for myself as well as for coaches and authors and speakers who are out there. This is our business. Our business is connection, right? So I wrote it specifically to show you where the disconnect is happening so that you can fill the gap and you'll find the gap fillers in my ebook, and it will change your business. And you heard a little bit about what's in there as I was talking today. It's all about how you listen. It's all about how you pay attention. It's about how you connect. I'll leave you with this one last story. I remember, I think it was 2 months ago, I was in a summit. It was all for, the same kind of people, right? And we made a lot of connections. And then when we made the connections, then we made the follow-up call. So I was in the follow-up call, and the guy came on, and he was sharing with me about, the first thing he said was, "Oh my gosh, my wife, my wife, my wife." And all he was talking about was his wife before he jumped into, "How can I support you?" Right? And I'm listening because he's talking about his wife, but I missed it. And I caught myself after I hung up the phone. And this is the reason why I'm sharing it. I'm sharing with you the mistakes I made so that you don't have to make them. I listened to what he was saying, but when he talked about his wife, my conversation should have gone a different way.
Right.
I went into asking him how he built his business over the last 40 years. And he kept talking about his wife and spending time with his wife. I didn't ask him about his wife's name. I didn't ask him about if his wife still worked, what she loved to do, but I did ask him what he loved to do. I remember to ask him that, but I didn't ask about the wife. And the wife was the most important thing to him. So this is why I'm sharing this with you, that the listening is so important. That's what causes the connection. So in my ebook, you're going to hear those little stories, and you're going to see those little tricks that you get to start implementing into your way of being, so that you create and cause connection that leads to currency and cash.
Wonderful. And cash. Awesome. Is the link easy to shout out now, or should I will definitely put it in the description here.
Yeah,
And that
put it in
works
the
as well.
description, because
Yeah.
it's from my CRM, so I don't have a
Oh
name
yeah.
for it.
That's
Okay.
amazing. I hope everybody found so much value today. Put in the chat, amen, if you enjoyed today with Lorna. And Lorna, I want to go run one of these plays. We also need the link for the event Raptor, and everybody
Yes.
make sure that you follow Lorna on social media. She's an amazing connector and tribe builder, as well as a gatherer of people. And I think that you guys will enjoy. I know I have. It's been so fun.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. Thank you.
thanks. Yeah, and be sure to watch the next video, and I look forward to getting your ebook. Thanks, Lorna. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.